Hello, YouTube. My name's Manny, and I just wanted to share my faith as to why I believe in God and the things that led me into believing God, and um, you know, maybe to shed some light as to people who are maybe searching for God. The God of the Bible. Is He real? And if so, what do I have to back it up to show that he's real? And so there's many ways to see who God is that I've discovered, and the first one is the most obvious one, and it's when you look at creation. You see the sun and the moon. And you wake up, you're like, wow, it's daytime. It's the sun's out. There's a big ball of fire in the sky. And it's almost as if we live in a magical place, called Earth. You know, and no man created that sun or the moon or the waters or the earth. It wasn't man that created it. So someone or something had to have created it, right? And so that's worth investigating. I found that, people were so focused on, you know, our physical survival or whatnot, you know, getting food to eat, finding shelter, you know, etc. And these things are important, yes. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, and when you look around and you see that the big earth that we live in and the big creation that we live in, when we see the stars and the constellations, how they're lined up like the Big Dipper, and how they're designed, we see that there's a creator. But because of all these man-made things, that we've created, you know, we lose sight of that. And we get focused in our own little worlds that we've created here. But if you take away all of creation, all of the inventions that men have made, whether it be houses, cars, the phone, all these technological advances, and you put them away, all you're going to see is God's creation: the trees, the birds, the plants, the animals, the stars, etc. You're going to see these things in grand fashion. In fact, I want you to put yourself out in the ocean right now, and there's on a ship, let's say, on a small boat, and let's say, there's nothing else but the waters. You're going to be very scared because it's just the waters there. And when you see the magnificence of God, the magnificence of, creation, you're going to acknowledge God. And in fact, a lot of us acknowledge God. When bad things happen to us, what's the first thing you say? If someone pinches you really hard, or you found out, someone passed away, what are you going to say? Oh my God. Well, what God are you talking about? You know, Oftentimes we say things, but we don't we don't fully understand what we mean, or we don't really think about what we say. And even at times I find myself, doing these things as well. But of course, when it comes to God, I've just discovered that, hey, He's real. And another area would be, morality, right? You see the crazy things going on in the world. People don't care about each other. People just care about themselves. People will kill one another for food, for money, for another woman, for resources, for whatever. But the Word of God tells us these things are not right, and we should stay away from these things, you know. And so that's another, morality is another way that you can see who God is. But the only way you begin to understand and unravel that is by actually getting into the Word of God and reading it, for yourself. So I'm doing this on a phone right now, and my phone does not have a lot of memory. So if this shuts off, then so be it. But yeah, so all the things that's going on in the world, the major problems of the world, hunger, you know, the environment, global warming and things like that. Even creation itself is warning us, to be righteous with it and to take care of it, or it will destroy us. And we see the destruction, of mankind. Little kids learning to be a little boy saying, oh, they want to be a woman, or vice versa. And they're little boys being taught that it's okay to be a girl, at a 5 years old, and their mind is not even fully developed yet, things of that nature. So we see Satan working everything that God created to be pure and beautiful. Satan does the exact opposite and tries to destroy it, because God told us to populate the earth and to multiply and be plentiful. But Satan is trying to do the opposite. And by men and women not getting together, he's actually depopulating the earth. So, opposing God's will for us, in our lives, and things of that nature. So I'm just trying to think off my head here. So this wasn't planned. This is my first YouTube video, on the faith and things like that. But yeah, so the world, it's a crazy place, and God is the only hope of the earth. You know, nothing, no one cares more for you than for God, because guess what? He created you. He cares more for you than your mom and your dad and your cousins, and he knows the purpose for our lives. But there's many distractions, as well. It says it somewhere in Corinthians that, Satan blinds the minds of the unbelievers so that they're not able to see the gospel, of Christ, and Satan is doing a masterful job in the world. Satan is not physical, right? He's a spirit, just like God. God is a spirit, and we're a spirit as well. And in fact, your spirit is in your body right now. You see, it's bound to the earth right now, but one day it's going to go. And I would say that's the most important thing that you should be worrying about in your life, more important than your career, than your spouse, than your finances. Not saying those things are not important, but the most important thing is your soul and who your creator is and what your purpose here in this life is. Because if you don't know those fundamental things, then you are lost, right? You're not functioning properly. It's just like a computer, who is doing different things that it's not supposed to do, or like using a basketball to play soccer. It's not its purpose. And so the main thing that you need to do in your life is to understand your purpose, understand, why you're here, understand who your creator is. Because remember, you're created, which means you have a creator, right? And only the creator knows the purpose for your life. So it's in your best interest to learn who God is and learn to submit to him, because all of creation submits to God. Sun, moon, waters, trees, seasons, the wind, all of creation submits to God willingly, and we are no different. Except we've been given a choice to love God or not to love God, and so we got to make that choice every day. But first we got to learn who God is, and that's why He left the Bible, because He know we have many questions while being here on earth. You'd have these questions as to why you're here, who created you, what is your purpose. This is why He left the Bible, but it's up to you to read it. God is not going to chase us. You know, you need to chase Him. He's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Okay, and we're created to serve Him. So if we want Him, if we need Him, we have to go after Him. He's already putting out His hands towards us, but we need to reach our hands back towards Him. And so I have many more things to say in these matters, definitely many more things to say. But this was just on the spur of the moment, and I haven't brought any scriptures out or anything, but in the future, I definitely intend to do so. But yeah, thank you, and if you like this content, definitely subscribe, and I'll definitely be making more in the future. All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.